We have used acrylic paints on the gel plate, but what about acrylic inks? Let's find out together as I open this pack for the first time. And as you see me struggle in the first half of the video, you will also learn all the mistakes to avoid when you start experimenting with these inks. I'm using the Holbein brand, but there are many others. Liquitex is a good option and probably more easily available for most of you. I bought a pack of 5 inks, the 3 primaries, cyan, magenta, and yellow, and also black and white. This way, I can mix and make my own colors if I want to. Remember, this is the first time I'm using acrylic inks, so this is experimentation for me from here on out. Starting with figuring out how to open the bottle. I twist the bottle cap and drop a bit of primary magenta, and then a bit of primary cyan, and some white, hoping to have a mix of colors from shades of blue and pink to a variety of purples. First lesson learned. Shake the bottle to mix it properly. I was only getting the binder out with the white. To be honest, I'm not very keen on mixing colors when working with a gel plate, but this is the set I got, so let's see how it works out. I use a brayer to spread the ink over the plate. The plan was to try and keep the colors a bit separate so I get more variation, but I mixed them up more than I wanted. I ended up with mostly one color. Can you see the paint beading up? There's hardly any coverage left on the plate, and I'll tell you how to avoid it a little later. Yes, it took me some time to wrap my head around this. We are still going to pick up the print. Turns out I put 2 sheets on the gel plate, so I quickly tried to remove the extra one. Once I do that, I realize that a lot more paint has come through to the back of the paper. Wow, that has to be the saddest gel print I've ever gotten. If I had waited any longer, I wouldn't even have this much. I figured maybe the problem was not having enough ink on the plate. Dumb idea on my part, but I still went ahead and added a lot more. A lot of yellow, more magenta, and lots of white as well. If it works, this could be a lovely print. I don't even wait to clean my brayer. I immediately place my paper down so I don't lose any of it. And while we wait for that, look what I got. I got a sketchbook to replace the copy paper and newsprint I was using to clean my brayer. This way, I can use them as backgrounds in case they turn out well. Spoiler alert, they did not turn out that great as I kept using the same one forever. Oh, and look at our paper. The ink has spread to the back and we literally have a print on this side. Somewhat better, but we still did not get as good a coverage as we should have considering the amount of ink I put down. And oh my god, look at that paper. It is so wet that I feel like the ink will flow off of it. This is the moment I'm beginning to realize that maybe this is not the best paper to use with inks. You need something that will take layers of paint. While this one can take layers of acrylic paints, inks are just too much for it. I decide to lower the amount of ink I'm adding. A bit of cyan, a bit of yellow, and some white. I wish I had more of the white ink as you need it every time you want to mix colors and want to go lighter, which for me is almost every time. I have figured out it is best to use the brayer to press down on the paper versus using my hand as the ink tends to come through to the back. You'd think I would have learned my lesson by now, but nope, nada. And I end up with yet another splotchy print. Though I love the colors on this, I decide to add another round of inks on the paper. This time, I work with a lovely combo of magenta and white. Even if the paint beads up, it should give me better coverage with another layer of inks going on the same sheet. I will let you be the judge of how well you think this plan has worked, while I go off to make another splotchy background in lovely black and yellow. You know when they talk about doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results? Yep, that is the loop I am stuck in. And if this was not enough, I decided to try something that made even less sense. I wanted to see how it would work out if I did not brayer the ink. Do not ask me why I thought this would work on the paper that can only take so much ink. You can already see from the back what a bad idea this was, not just for the paper, but also for my hand. In my defense, as per a bumper sticker for my star sign, my strength is being optimistic. And my weakness? And that is how we are where we are. This was finally the point where I said enough. Took a break, cleaned my hands, did some research, cleaned the plate, and here is our magic solution: matte medium. Turns out the ink needs something other than the gel plate to adhere to, so it doesn't bead. Let's spread a thin layer of matte medium before we add the inks to see how they hold up. I stick to using a small amount of cyan, some yellow, and of course white. They should give us lovely yellow green, blue green, and other mixes of these shades, provided I don't mix it all up too much. Interesting. I don't see any beading. Could we finally have landed on the solution? Let's find out. I'm also going to stop repeating the paper mistake and switch to Hanji paper. This can take a lot more wet paint and ink than rice paper. You can also use tea bag paper, western tissue, or medical exam paper. I brayer over the backside and you can already see what a lovely background this is going to be. I'm not waiting as long to pick up the paper with ink as I do with paint. That is one lovely background. All our experimentation and mistakes have been worth it. Encouraged by this success, I decide to make another layer. This time I add cyan, magenta, and white, hoping to add some lovely purples. There is already some matte medium left over on the plate, so the paint beading should not be an issue. Instead of turning this into a background, I use a stencil and add it as a second layer on our green background. Uh-oh, I gotta be careful. The paper is so thin, it is folding onto itself, and the ink is still a little bit wet. I don't want that spoiling the print. Let me just clean the plate before we take another look. This has the most gorgeous watercolored feel to it. The camera has only captured half the beauty of the print. It is so pretty. I think we finally got the method down. I'm emboldened to try more color combinations and more paints. I'm going to try a black, and I forgot to put a layer of matte medium, so I quickly pick it up and figure I might as well mix it in with the color. This should hopefully have the same effect. But guess my mistake here. I picked up the Amsterdam white acrylic paint instead of the ink. Oops. On the positive side, mixing this bit of white acrylic paint with the inks has the same effect, and the inks do not bead on the plate. Oh wow, we get a beautiful shade of olive green with some patches of white and black. I like this background. I want to add a stencil layer on top of this. This time I remember that I don't have any matte medium on my plate, so I get ready to add some. I still haven't realized that my matte medium has gotten replaced with the white acrylic paint. As I was rolling with the brayer, I was even thinking, why is my matte medium white? It's supposed to be transparent. What's happened to it since the last time I used it, which is literally in this very session? I just did not connect the dots. I mean, how do I not see that? I am just too focused on the inks. And here I am pouring some cyan ink and quite ironically, some white. And then some yellow. Let's add the stencil and add this as a second layer on our olive green background. I'm not too sure about this one, but I decided to pick up the ghost using a fresh, clean sheet. I was only expecting to clean the plate, but look at what I got. Definitely one of the loveliest prints from today's session. I'm not happy with the earlier print, so I want to add a layer of white using one of our stencils. Not exactly what I was expecting, but I feel we have the start of a pretty interesting grungy background. These two prints might go really well together in a collage. So who knows, you might see me working on this in an upcoming video. And yes, I am still blind as a bat. I'm still using the acrylic paint thinking it's matte medium. Please don't judge. One of my cleanup sheets has been sitting in the top left corner for a while, so I decided to add black ink. I'm not expecting it to be too much of a contrast as we already have pretty dark colors on this paper. Let's pick it up and see what we got. Oh, that's an interesting one. We got an outline of a stencil, not an easy result to replicate for sure. I pick up the stencil and we have a pretty cool ghost print. You can see me debating whether to use our gorgeous print sitting in the bottom left corner, but I don't think I want to take any risk with it. I really love this print. So I just go ahead and pull the print on a new sheet of rice paper, which for some reason is refusing to pull up, but we managed to get a pretty nice ghost print. The next mistake to avoid, as you can see me making here, is to never ever put all three primaries on the plate. Even though my plan was to keep them separate when using the brayer, I ended up blending all of them and guess what I made? Mud. And even worse, muddy paint that beaded. I would ask, what was I thinking? But I don't think I was. I just used one of our sheets from earlier as a cleanup sheet to pick this up. Yep, one of those where you can't tell which side the print is on because it's drenched through to the other side. There was so much ink on the plate that I had to use another sheet to clean it up. I wish I could say I had realized my mistake with the matte medium, but I still have not. But one thing I figured out is that I'm just using too many cyan and yellow combos and ending up with a lot of green prints. So I decided to switch things up. This time I went with magenta, yellow, and white. So we end up with shades of pink, yellows, oranges, and peach. Time to put our zigzag stencils to use. This should provide a good contrast to a cleanup sheet. I was right. That has turned out pretty nice. It's subtle, but it's cool. I use a green grungy background to clean up the plate. And whoa, I'm loving this background even more now. Happy with the success of this color combo, I add more yellow, magenta, and white on the plate. This time, I want that as the first layer. I love the colors. Once again, I get a splotchy result. Guess why? This is the point at which I have finally realized that I have been ignoring the matte medium. Finally found it and use it to pick the remaining ink on the same paper. And with the rest of the ink being picked up, we get such a fun background. I'm loving that the inks give a lovely watercolor effect. Also, they make it very easy to make grungy prints. I want to add a contrasting layer on top so it is back to a cyan and magenta, and of course this is my excuse to use our new stencil. Oh wow, that is such a fun print. I quickly clean the sheet with a thin hanji paper. Remember, if like me, you keep forgetting to layer the plate with matte medium, the second best option is to just mix it in with the inks to stop them beading. I used a stencil to pick this on a green grungy print. Oh no, I wish I'd thought it through. I really wanted to use this background with the other green print in a collage. This is obviously only in hindsight, which is why it got covered with a second layer. At least these two can work well together in a collage. And we are finally going to work on the last print for today. Yes, I know this has been an unusually long video, but I hope you have been learning from my mistakes. This should hopefully save you a lot of time and grief. The result is a very subtle print. Sorry half of it is off camera, but you'll be able to see it more closely when I show all the prints. Seriously, some of these cleanup sheets that I'm not expecting much from turn out to be the coolest, grungiest prints. Let's look at all the prints we worked on today. I hope you enjoyed the session and it has gotten your creative juices flowing. What are your thoughts? Are you going to get some acrylic inks and try them out? Or is this a pass for you and not something you're interested in trying out yourself? Do mention in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on all notifications so you don't miss out on upcoming videos. See you in the next one.